Good evening, and on to this story, a big story of the day. Now, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority has struck the death knell to actually ZAR X after having suspended its trading license in August 2021. The suspension comes after the company was non-compliant with the Financial Markets Act's liquidity and capital adequacy requirements for an exchange. This is not the first time that ZAR X has found itself on the wrong side of the law and the FSCA. And to actually get more on this particular story, as we know that ZAR X was the fifth alternative stock exchange in the country outside of the JSE, we are joined by the Commissioner of the FSCA, Unathi Kamlana. Mr. Kamlana, thank you very much for joining us this evening. This has come after a long time following that suspension in August 2021. Tell us a bit more the work that you've done to actually help ZAR X get back on its feet.
Thank you very much, Kolani. So, as you rightly point out, in August 2021, when we suspended the license, really the intention was to provide an opportunity to ZAR X and their shareholders to raise capital, to make adjustments to their business model, should they deem it fit to do so, to remedy two issues. The first was a capital shortfall, and the second was liquidity challenges. 18 months, of course, since that time, it's been quite clear to us that the various interventions that they actually tried to implement and to consider and explore during this period were not successful. And as such, we then communicated to them our intention to cancel the license and to give them the time that's required in terms of the law to come back to us and to say why we shouldn't. And we are then at a stage where we cancelled the license as we have communicated today.
Of course, a number of people are going to see these headlines as bad news for investors in South Africa, but many will see it as actually very good news since the financial watchdog is doing its job to protect investors, because essentially that is what you are actually doing here.
Absolutely. So it's about the integrity of financial markets, Kolani, and it's also about ensuring a level playing field amongst those that are licensed to operate in the space. In the case of ZAR X, as I've said, with all the time that we've given and all the interactions, they simply were not able to actually remedy the concerns that we had from a regulatory perspective. And you're quite right, it is about investor protection. It's a competitive market. There's still 4 other exchanges in the securities markets space in South Africa. And the message, of course, is that these markets are tightly regulated, as they should be, so that we can maintain our position as amongst those that are quite competitive, actually, our financial markets compared to the rest of the world, and certainly in the emerging market space as well.
Are we aware exactly how much of securities had already been invested in ZAR X by the time that you suspended their license in August 2021?
So there are 7 listings on the exchange when we suspended the license. I think, and I can confirm this information, I think they were left with about 3 listings by the time we were considering this action of cancelling the license. And then, of course, the requirements, as we've communicated them on the press statement, will be that they delist those and give them an opportunity to go and list elsewhere and follow the necessary processes in terms of what they should be communicating out there. And, of course, they're not allowed to take on board any new listings in this period.
Yes, of course, there are a number of things that you have told them to actually follow, including making sure that those securities are delisted within 14 days, and also informing all affected persons, issuers and authorized users and all affected stakeholders. What else have you put down on the table for the company to do between now and the next 2 weeks?
It is what we've outlined in our press release, Kolani. So it really is about communicating immediately to all the affected stakeholders, as you say, issuers, authorized users, and so on, and to do that within a week, and to keep us abreast of the developments and report to us in terms of them complying with those conditions of the cancellation. And I think it's important to just say, in the interactions we've had with ZAR X since August 2021, they have really been willing to come to the party and to comply and remedy the situation. So we are not concerned that they will not be able to meet the requirements that we've outlined to them in terms of this process of license cancellation per se.
Is there any chance in the law that allows for them to come back after maybe they have satisfied the requirements that are within the law?
So, I mean, any entity that complies with the requirements that are set out in the Financial Markets Act can apply for a license. So they can go through that process if they determine that they are now in a position that's strong, and they can comply with the requirements of the FMA. And at that point, we'll of course assess the license application as we do for any new license application.
Unathi Kamlana is the Commissioner at the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. Sir, thank you very much for your time.